When the party ends in blood and chaos, the house becomes a battlefield where zombies lurk behind every door. The movie begins with a man named Sam going to the party hosted by his ex-girlfriend. He wants to retrieve his belongings that were left at her house. When he arrives, his ex-girlfriend tells him that the items are in a nearby room. Sam heads to the room to look for his stuff. As he searches, he locks the door to prevent others from entering. Just as he finds his belongings, he suddenly starts bleeding from his nose, forcing him to stop and take a break. He lies down to rest, and during his nap, a loud scream is heard from outside the room. The next morning, when Sam wakes up, he prepares to leave the house with his belongings. However, as he steps out of the room, he is horrified to see the entire house in total chaos. The once lively party setting is now a wreck, with blood splattered across the walls and furniture. As he explores, he realizes that everyone, including his ex-girlfriend, have turned into zombies. Though horrified, Sam manages to stay calm and begins thinking about how to survive this terrifying situation. While moving around the building, he hears a strange noise coming from the floor below. Suddenly, a loud gunshot echoes through the house, breaking through the floor of his room. Sam discovers that the gunshot came from a man who had shot himself after killing his wife, who had become a zombie. Sam gathers all the food supplies and the man's weapon. He then moves quickly to secure the house by shutting all the doors, ensuring no more zombies can enter the building. He then marks which rooms are safe and which ones are occupied by zombies. After completing his inspection, he decides to return to his own room using the elevator. But when he gets there, he discovers an old man who has turned into a zombie inside the elevator. He ties the elevator gate shut with a belt to keep it contained. The following morning, he starts observing the movements of the zombies that now roam the area. He carefully calculates how much food he will need to survive and devises a survival plan. In the days that follow, Sam tries to keep himself occupied to stave off the overwhelming loneliness. He spends his time playing music, exercising, and even shooting zombies. But with no one to talk to, boredom and despair start creeping into his mind. He develops an unusual habit of talking to the old zombie in the elevator, which he refers to as Alfred. He contemplates leaving the building to search for other survivors, but ultimately decides against it out of fear. One night, he wakes to a strange sound outside his room. Panicking, he shoots through the door. When he cautiously investigates, he discovers the sound wasn't from a zombie, but from a woman who has survived the attack. Sam is shocked and overjoyed to meet the woman, whose name is Sarah. He brings her inside and does his best to take care of her, as this is the first time he has encountered another living person since the outbreak. The next morning, Sam is relieved to find Sarah alive and well. She tells him she has survived by constantly moving between buildings to avoid the zombies. She also mentions that others like her exist, but most survivors have been severely traumatized, and some have even lost their sanity. Sam's spirits are lifted by Sarah's presence, and he begins to rediscover what it feels like to be around another person. He shares his limited food supplies with Sarah, but realizes they won't last long. To solve this, he plans to raid a room previously occupied by zombies. He punches a hole in the door and shoots the zombies inside. After gathering food and supplies, he returns, only to find Sarah on the roof of the building. Sarah tells Sam she plans to leave the building soon, as she believes there might be other survivors who have created safe shelters elsewhere, and feels it's better to take the risk of finding them rather than staying trapped in uncertainty. Sam tries to convince her to stay, admitting he's too scared to leave. Sarah warns him that if he remains isolated, he might lose his sanity and harm himself. Their argument escalates, and Sam apologizes for saying hurtful things. However, he finally realizes that Sarah's presence has been a hallucination all along. It is revealed that Sarah never woke up after the night he found her because she had died due to the gunshot. Devastated, Sam looks through her belongings, discovering that she was married but had lost her entire family to the zombie outbreak. Inspired by Sarah's advice in his hallucination, Sam decides to take action. He burns the stuff he was looking for at the beginning of the movie, symbolically letting go of his old life. As he prepares to leave, he remembers zombie Alfred in the elevator. Surprisingly, upon freeing him, Alfred doesn't try to attack Sam and simply walks away. However, the fire alarm is triggered by the smoke from the burned stuff, drawing the zombies back to the building. Realizing the danger, Sam fights off the zombies, but is overwhelmed by their numbers. He locks himself in the elevator and climbs through the hole he had previously made. He finds the upper floors filled with smoke, which confuses the zombies and prevents them from noticing him. Sam escapes to the roof and uses a rope to swing to a nearby building. Though he crashes and loses consciousness, he eventually wakes up and starts climbing again. Determined to survive, Sam begins navigating the buildings in search of safety.